Our midterm documentary project was based upon the history and authenticity of Chamblin Bookmine. In this brief documentary, we delved into the origin of the store, as well as the story of Ron Chamblin, the owner of Chamblin Bookmine.
Welcome to Chamblin Bookmine. It wasn't always like this.
In 1976, Ron Chamblin, who was at the time a technical writer who wanted to be his own boss, bought 15 boxes of books and opened his bookmine in a tiny store on Herschel Street, then went to a bigger store on the same street. In 1991, he moved into an old warehouse on Roosevelt Boulevard. Even that wasn't big enough for the used books that kept flooding in, so it's been expanded several times. Ron Chamblin works every day and takes vacations rarely.
I used to go out to a house. An old man, Cy Crawford, had books in his house. He would sell out of his house. And I used to go twice a week in the evening. And he was getting old. He was born in '99, and he wanted me to take over. So we talked about it for weeks and weeks and whatever. And anyway, he some kids tried to burn his house down in December, I think it was, of '75. And so anyway, we came up with an agreement that I would buy basically the phone number, about 15 boxes of books that were left over that didn't get burned, and open up on Herschel Street, which I did, July of '76.
Chamblin Bookmine has been selling new, used, and rare books in Jacksonville, Florida since 1976. The Bookmine displays over 55,000 square feet of books at two retail locations, Chamblin Bookmine and Chamblin Downtown.
But it took off. I was by myself for 5 years. Now I've got, 26 people counting the downtown store.
The book inventory is about 98% used/rare and 2% new books.
One thing I like to do as far as objectives on the business, you have diamonds and gold, which people buy for investment and collectible. Now, and you have rare books. I am inclined to enjoy reading books, and therefore the history, the science, because I read a lot of history, literature. And even though I buy rare books, I have a fair amount of rare books, worth thousands of dollars each. Okay, that's fine. But I'm not in that. I don't depend on that. I would rather engage ideas and history and literature and whatever. Because see, once you start shifting to rare books, collectibles, then it's more like diamonds. Nobody reads them. And I know there's a market for that, and I deal in that, but I prefer, and that's why I've gotten so big, square footage. Because if you do rare books only, scarce books, you can have a small place because you don't want to bother with all the literature and history. I did not go that route. Now some of my competitors did, and they're out of business. They kind of so that says something there. But I thought I'd mention that as being something you might not be aware of, that even though I have rare books and $3, $4 books, I like to stay with the lower priced readable books.
So
not rare books.
You value the information inside of the books, not the books
right.
like the paper themselves.
Yeah, that's what I like to provide for the community, is a broad range of material that libraries have gotten rid of because nobody checked it out for 10 years, let's get rid of it. I don't do that. Anything that's readable I try to keep in.
Yes sir, yes sir.
After talking with Mr. Chamblin, we realized how books can truly help the community. Ron explained how he provides a plethora of information through the books in his store that other bookstores can't provide due to their limited collection. The customer that we talked to explained to us the value of a paper book over that of a digital one.
There's a very good book I just read here called, I can't remember, The Shallows, and it talks about the advantages of the internet and the disadvantages of the internet.
Yes, sir.
And one of the disadvantages of the internet is you get almost too much information too fast. Whereas with a book, you can kind of just sit there and slowly absorb it, underline things, write things down, and that's why there's a lot. Even though we have all this hyper electronic technology,
Yes, sir.
we still are having a lot of books printed. I mean, you know, that's why books have not gone out of print, because it's more comfortable and it's deeper thinking when a person's reading a book.
We asked Mr. Chamblin the same question.
Well, you know, since the ebooks came out and since the internet, I've always wondered about the impact it would have. You know, wondering, you know, will I be able to maintain my level of staff, and will sales be maintained? And so I keep waiting to say, well, what's going to happen? Because you don't know. But, you know, it's just like a girl was in the other day, and she said, oh, I have this book on ebook, but I want to read it in the book form. She got tired, apparently, of reading the e-reader. So, and that happens every so often. People feel more, some people anyway, apparently feel more comfortable with books, paper books.
Personally, do.
There's something to be said about them, too. I mean, you know, when you have them on your shelf at home, I think, you know, you're reminded, oh, yes, there's that title I've been thinking about. You know, it's there to remind you. And a shelf full of books probably, I don't know what it is. It's sort of a pleasant feeling to a lot of people. Instead of having no books at all, having e-reader. Let's say you have an e-reader sitting on a desk. But there's something about different, you know, colorful bookshelves with different books. And, you know, you can take them in a lot of ways more conveniently. And I read some by ebook too, not often, but or iPad, this kind of thing. But I can read. If you're reading history and whatever, you can go back. Say you have a map and you have charts and whatever, and you can flip back and forth easier on your book. You know, put your finger in one area and say, oh yes, you go back and forth real quick. You can go back to another chapter quicker than an ebook.
Yes, sir.
But so, you know, what's going to happen in another 5 or 10 years, I don't know. But I think books will be around. Well, our sales are still good, you know, over the years. So we're, you know, it's just a wait and see thing, really.
The paper copy just provides a more intimate experience with the text, and the feeling of turning a page is much better than tapping a screen. As we walked around the store, we realized just how many books there were. There was even a time that we had gotten lost while trying to find our way to the entrance. Mr. Chamblin has also had many experiences with this, and has even locked people inside of his store on accident.
So I have like a kind of like funny question for you. Has anybody ever gotten lost in here?
You know what? Yeah, people. Yeah, people do. They, you know, they get back in the back area, and I see them walking around. I think they don't look like they're looking for a book. Looks like they're looking for a way to get the hell out. So, but yeah, so and the fire marshal came by, and they said, look, they want us to put some signs up so people can see how to get out if they ever have to. So we did, and one time we shut down, and there was a woman way in the back, and she was all concerned. I can't blame her, but yeah, she had somebody call us to get her out. It was within minutes, but still, she was quite upset.
So you locked up with her still inside the store?
Yeah, locked the doors. So that didn't work out too. But she understood it after a while. And then a guy back in '78, I think it was. I locked a fella. I was closed on Mondays, and I was in working temporarily just to get some stuff done. This guy asked me if he could come in. So I reluctantly let him in, but I forgot he was in the store. So I took off. And after about 4 or 5 hours, the cops finally got a hold of him. He said, there's a man locked in your store. He was trying to get out, but that was kind of fun. He never asked me to come in again.
Especially on the day that you don't usually let people in.
In a modern, growing suburban society, Jacksonville is lucky to have this maze of books, and Ron Chamblin is to thank for that.
Why do you come to Chamblin Bookmine over other bookstores?
Well, the selection is just really great. I mean, you can find just about, you come in here looking for a specific book and find it. And you find stuff that is interesting that you never even thought of to read. I mean, it's just a great place to browse. And I read I'm retired, I'm 68 years old, and I read about 4 or 5 books a week. And I just,
Coming here to brag.
If they took this place away from me, I don't know what the heck I would do.